Gutsche is a senior lecturer in critical digital media practice at the British University, Lancaster University. Robert, thank you for joining us. Where do you stand in this argument? Is it distasteful to show pictures like the BBC and Sky have been doing? Is there any sort of defense for it?
Well, you have to balance out a couple things. One is the public's right to know, the right to see these things, and also the stories of the people who are experiencing what they're experiencing. But in this particular case, if we're not seeing Sky News or BBC taking a real hard stance or critical perspective on what's going on related to immigration beyond these types of voyeuristic pieces, then yes, this is highly problematic in the sense that it is using these folk as fodder in what is a real political and human rights issue that needs to be balanced between the people's right to know what's going on the channel and what politicians and human rights activists can and aren't doing about this.
Okay, so there are therefore a lot of people who would come into factoring what that fine line is. You've got the broadcasters, you've got the viewers, you've also got human rights groups, as you say. There's also people like you who study this kind of thing. How have you felt that things have gone? Because throughout history, you'll see in newspapers and magazines, you remember the famous picture of the girl in Vietnam who was running away from a bomb of napalm. People looked at that back then during the Vietnam War and they were horrified. There are pictures of what's been happening in Syria that have been shown in publications all over the world. But with the advent of 24-hour news channels, have our sensitivities changed at all in what we're able to accept as not crossing the line?
Yeah, I think that's really important to understand that we're inundated constantly on our phones, our watches, on TV, of all sorts of different levels of brutality across the world and experiences. But the issue also is, because of these added channels, how are people going to be using our images as journalists? So, in the next few months, when politicians continue to talk about immigration, they're going to use these images as a way to say, look at all of these others, look at all these people coming here from someplace else, these people without names, these people without stories, these people without trials and tribulations that they're living through. And I think journalists have to be concerned about, we can take these images, but how are they also going to be reused? How are they going to be propagandized? How are they going to enter into public courtrooms of debate? And so it's important to show some aspects of what's happening, but there also is the human aspect of a person sitting on a boat who's perfectly safe, asking, "Are you safe?" When we know that people who are on rafts or on boats coming through, that they're not safe, and they certainly will not be safe once they hit the shorelines and are let's go in and see how these people are being treated, but then are deported or sent back to where they came from in kind of a milieu of faceless images here. And so there's a balance, again, that has to be struck between reuse, telling the public what's going on, and the human aspect of all I need to do is take the shot and I get to walk away and go home. What happens to these people once they're off the film?
Yeah, absolutely. What about the morality? This didn't apply to the BBC, but it certainly did to Sky, that on their Twitter feed, they were tweeting that they were following this journey live. And I think that's one of the things that British MP has said is a bit sort of like reality TV almost. And of course, I don't know, but it's almost as if Sky is saying to the viewers, look, this is high drama. Something might go wrong here. You need to tune in to our TV channel to see it.
Yeah, to see it unfold as though it's sport. And that's where that balance comes in. I'm not suggesting that following this along live would ever be okay to the purest of the journalistic senses, but it's balanced with, well, now what is Sky News going to do? Are they going to follow people through detention? Are they going to follow people through the treatment? I mean, if we were to look at the United States in the treatment of immigrants at the southern border, going into cages and having really poor food and nutrients, being separated from families. Is anything like that happening here? And shouldn't we look to places like BBC and Sky News to tell us if those things are happening? So, one thing is to follow this along as it's happening, waiting for the drama to occur. But the other is, what are the horrible experiences that people might be going through once they reach land? And is Sky News or anybody else going to be there showing us so that we can critique as a public how our public officials, our elected officials, our representatives are treating other human beings?
What about, Robert, the different ways that people could react to seeing something like this? Because it does show the complete desperation of people seeking a better life. So possibly, maybe some people might feel more inclined to be sympathetic towards people in that situation, maybe more sympathetic to new arrivals. But there could be other people who are saying, look, I don't need to see that nastiness. I don't need to see effectively how the sausage is made. It's not for me.
Well, that comes to the issue of reuse, how journalists reuse these images, these runs airing right now on your channel, right? That's put into a context about the journalism behind how and why these images were captured. And so journalists, as well as other public officials and citizens, need to be concerned about the context that they're putting these images in going forward. They're going to use them for a political agenda one way or the other. But it's that context about who these people are, who we think they are, what are the trials that they're going through. But coming from Miami, as I did for 6 years, the story still of Cubans getting on rafts going into Miami, there are very clear arguments on both sides of the table that should be happening or shouldn't be happening using the same images. And we have seen that images have helped humanitarian organizations in the past to bring funding for AIDS victims, for people suffering from hunger and poverty. But there's also when these images can be used against people. And so I think that it's that balance that we need to find in that context. But it goes back to the journalistic ethics or the morals, if you will, of what's okay and what's not in capturing people in distress.
Really interesting to hear your analysis, Robert. Thank you so much, Robert Gutsche.